I read once that since you arrived in this country in 1989 at the age of 9, that you like to joke that your version of the 80s was held in the 90s.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
Well, all the fun, like, shoulder pads and the big hair and all the music, I didn't get to have that till, like, mid to late 90s, So I was just kind of a decade late with it.
Regina, given that you came here, as I mentioned earlier, at the age of 9 from the Soviet Union, I'm wondering if you see the same sense of opportunity when you look at our present situation?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I know that it's caused tremendous amounts of pain for people, and I know that it's brought in a lot of very bad things, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't excited when this whole thing happened, because I sort of thought that it was going to make people really look at why they need money, what they're looking for in their lives, how they're going to make themselves happy if it's not, the extra bedroom in their house renovated for the 5th time or whatever, I thought I was sort of, yeah, I was definitely thinking more of the fun 80s and not the economic 80s. I'm glad for that to end as well. I think that, the exciting thing about America to me was, was sort of always the romantic immigrants' notion of America, where people come and they really follow their dreams, and their dreams are not just to earn a whole pile of money and sit on it, And so hopefully people's dreams are going to start changing with, when they're going to realize that they're not just going to be able to, follow these 4 steps and make a lot of money, and that's all they really want out of life.
To me, Regina, you do that with your songs, like within 3 minutes.
With a lot less attention span, a lot less hard effort and research.
Well, on the other hand, 3 minutes to create a world, that's something. A little later, we're going to hear a song called Blue Lips. And I was wondering if when you enter into those worlds, do they, like, knock and announce themselves?
This is my moment, like the way you had about your book.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were going to envision a new world, what would it be?
Oh, well, it would be a lot less cruel than this one. It would be a lot less immediate gratification than this one. I think that's one of our, I think that really is one of our great sort of downfalls as America today, is the immediate gratification thing that wasn't always present. And and actually in your book, when, in Heyday, you have that whole, the moment of history when the gold rush happened, and that sort of immediate gratification, like people going from this world where they know they have to work really hard, and maybe it's good to work hard, and it's good to plan ahead and have, the fruits of your labor and all that, to this moment of instant.com, instant Wall Street, instant gambling, and that's sort of the new world I would have. I don't know what it would be like, but it would be less about instant gratification, more about the long run.
You're a kid growing up in the Soviet Union, and your parents said to you, someday we're going to go to America. What vision did you have of this country?
I pictured it like a safari. I thought that everybody in America had, for some reason, America in my head was like a Jungle Book, and everybody had pet panthers and parrots that talked to them, and lions, and I don't know.
Back in the 70s. We did, yeah.
What a disappointment when you finally got here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's sort of the built-in padding of a 9-year-old, is that you hit the ground running and you're like, oh, cool, no panthers. All right, what's up?
And when you got here, you didn't have enough English to communicate right away.
I didn't have any.
I don't know why I was
mimed
I was
a lot.
fudging, really. But you drew pictures.
Yeah, like, you know, but very, very basic, crude animations of, let's say I was feeling sick at school, I would draw a thermometer in black pen, and then I would take a red marker and I would go all the way up and, you know, show like it's going off the map, and then, you know, I'd be like, ugh, you know, and they would take me to the nurse.
I'm wondering, though, how you think the acquisition of another language has an impact on you as a storyteller.
Well, I think that, I mean, language is sort of the lifeblood of every nation, and you know, if you want to understand the people, you understand their language, and you read books in that language, and you will really know their soul. You know, I think that. So, I think just all the expressions and all the things of the Russian books and sort of the Russian language definitely helped me have this whole other world, other than, you know, the English. But also I think you sort of because I experienced it at a very young age, going sort of from Russia, then to Austria, then to, you know, Italy, then to America. And so all of a sudden, I sort of had this thing of, well, everything is just sounds, and everybody's it's very, you know, it's very abstract and sort of arbitrary, really. Like, these people pick this sound, these people pick this sound. So in a lot of ways, it's, as much as it's the lifeblood, it's also like a paradox, because it's also an illusion. Like, you're just kind of born into it, but, you know, it's just sounds. And so, I don't know, maybe it just made me kind of think, well, I don't know. I guess any sounds are allowed, and kind of any kind of expression is allowed. So maybe. I don't know if I answered your question, Catherine.
You did a beautiful job. So I know that you grew up thinking and training to be a classical concert pianist. What moment? Was there a moment that happened when you said, not going to happen?
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of moments, but, you know, I think it's sort of, actually, I think that people grow up and they forget how hard it is to be a teenager, and how you know, you're sort of, everybody's sort of talking to you like you're an adult, and everybody wants you to answer what you're going to do with your life. And if the answer you've been saying since you were 6, all of a sudden somewhere inside your heart changes, you have to then deal with the pain of every time somebody says, so what are you going to be when you grow up? And you've said classical pianist for, you know, as long as you can remember, and you don't feel that anymore. That's really, really hard. So I don't think there was like a day or a moment, but it was just this creeping, like, horror of realization where I'm not good enough to do this, you know, and it just was like coming at me from, you know. But, you know, luckily, at the right moment, you know, some friends handed me some Western music I'd never heard before. I never really heard women singing, really. I mean, as stupid as that sounds, you know, until I got some mixtapes of, like, Joni Mitchell and Ani DeFranco when I was 15, and all of a sudden I was like, well, maybe, you know, maybe I could putz around and try this. And then, you know, I really tried, but, you know, I think that it's sort of, there's a lot of obvious things in our world that sometimes you just can't see. They're right in front of you, and you won't know that you can do it unless you see other people doing it.
Well, I think there's also something about the liberation that can come with failure, and I wish I had made up that line, but someone else did.